Hello everyone, welcome to the Financial Information channel. My name is Marvin. In this video I'm going to give you the stock market news and I'm going to give you my thoughts on what is going to happen next week. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a recap what happened during the week and how the Dow, the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 did during the week. Now let's start with the Dow, and as you can see in the screen, the Dow was positive. It went up 0.43% during the week. And the next index is the Nasdaq. It was positive. It went up 0.24% during the week. And the next thing is the S&P 500. It was positive with 0.15% during the week. I usually like the months of October, November, and December because it's a new fiscal year for fund managers. And we found out that fund managers took more stakes in the following 4 companies. The first company is Broadcom. The second company was Lam Research. AMD is the third company, and the last company is Nvidia. And that is very important because fund managers are usually the one that move the market. Now let's take a look at the closer look. Now you can see in the closer look, the numbers show that Broadcom has the highest percentage owned by fund managers with 31%. And the second company that I mentioned is Lam Research. It has a 15.7% owned by fund managers. And the very popular AMD stock has the lowest out of the group with 4.2% owned by fund managers. And the second highest out of the group is Nvidia. At this moment it has a 23% owned by fund managers. It is up by 10% over last year. So to be in that group, even if you were at the lowest or at the highest, it means that the stock has the potential to move up even higher amounts in 2018. And another story that I found interesting is that someone bought 76,000 call puts that expired on January 2019, and it has a value of 50 millions in those options, and it is betting that the technology sector is gonna go down under $128 with 40 cents. And I'm referring to the QQQ index, and as of Friday the index closed around $148. And that basically means that we will see a stock market correction that is gonna be brought by the technology sector. And the last story is one of the biggest bears in the stock market, which is Tom Lee actually raised the price of the S&P 500 for the rest of the year. He raised the price target to $24.75, and he had the price previously of $22.75 for the S&P 500. So basically we have an analyst that thinks that the stock market is gonna be fine for the next 3 months. Since he has big negative in the stock market, I'm quite surprised that he changed his mind. But now let's talk about the companies that decline or move up during the week. And the first company is Activision Blizzard. CNBC published a story about Activision Blizzard. In the story it says that Destiny 2 physical sales fell more than 50% during the first month. So after the story was published, the stock actually did drop during the week. But you have to take a look really at the context of the story because the physical sales is not digital sales. Last month we had a lot of articles saying that Destiny 2 actually had record sales during the first day of their new game release in the PlayStation Store. And that is a huge accomplishment because September has a lot of sports titles. And the expansion pass actually was the #1 selling product in the PlayStation Store. That's gonna bring more revenue into the company. Activision did have a bad week. It ended up dropping 3.43% during the week, and the company will report earnings the first week in November. I'm going to go more into detail about this company in an upcoming video. And the next story is about Ulta Beauty stock. Now that stock actually had a big drop during the week. There was a lot of stories mentioning that Amazon is already having a huge effect into the beauty space. Now the Ulta stock has been the worst stock in the S&P 500 in 2017, and the stock hasn't been really good in 2017. It is negative with 22.11%. During this week the company moved down negative 9.70%, and to be honest the seller was a little bit crazy. I didn't think the company was going to have that huge of a drop during the last few days. I ended up getting some call options that are going to expire in November 2017. Usually what happens when the company loses a huge amount during an analysis or a story, the company is going to gain back some of that percentage that it lost. And during Friday it went up around 4.40%, and I think it might continue going up during the next week. And now for the next company is going to be Alibaba. And there was a story that Alibaba is going to spend 15 billions in research and development. Alibaba will set up research labs in China, the United States, Israel, Russia, and Singapore. The labs will conduct research in data intelligence, Internet of Things, financial technology, human-machine interaction, which is artificial intelligence. Alibaba is trying to expand and compete against Amazon, Google, and some of the other companies. And that is one way that Alibaba can expand outside China. And one thing to keep in mind, there's gonna be the Singles Days that is coming up in China, and Singles Day is gonna be on November 11. It has become the major shopping holiday for Alibaba. Just in 2016, Alibaba made about 18 billions during those 24 hours. And also Alibaba will announce earnings during the first week in November. And now let's take a look how the company did during the week. And as you can see, during the week, the company was negative. During this week, Alibaba moved down 0.24%. And during the last few weeks, the company has been consolidating. That means that it has been moving sideways. And if the company has a good November, which I think it has a good chance of having a good November, the company share price might move to the $190. We will need to see what happens during the earnings. And that is gonna be everything for the video. Please leave in the comment section below if you're investing in any of the companies mentioned in this video. I am investing in Activision Blizzard and Alibaba, and I used to have Ulta, but I sold the shares at the end of 2016. And you can subscribe to the financial information channel. I'm gonna continue bringing videos about the stock market, personal finance, and how to make money online. I wanna thank you once again for watching the video. Have an excellent day and take care, my friends.